is your Horn headlines.
Headlines, the Celtics 25-point win over Cleveland last night, 120-95. This thing got ugly pretty early on, and Boston flexed their muscle. Cleveland went 11 of 42 from three-point range. 11 of 42. They pretty much shot themselves out of the game. And then, Boston, I think they had a 15-point lead going into the fourth quarter. It was all she wrote pretty early on. This possibly could this be a sweep? Because Boston is such a great team.
Boston should sweep. And I know Porzingis is not playing, but as Jared Allen doesn't come back, and now hopefully Jared Allen comes back, I think that changes it a little bit because that does give you a little bit more defense on this Cleveland team, where Jared Allen really is the defensive guy on Cleveland. And he's also their third leading scorer as well. So I think if you add Jared Allen back in, the issue is Mobley actually had 17 points. Mobley is a better offensive player with Jared Allen off the court because they're both play around the rim a lot. Mobley doesn't necessarily have the best jump shot in the world. So if they're both playing around the rim, they both can't be down there or compacts the defense. So it'll take away a little bit from Mobley, but he's, I think, a better offensive player than Mobley is at this point in his career. The big problem is you have to have another player step up. Darius Garland couldn't do it. We know Donovan Mitchell's still a good player. It took him 25 shots to get 33, but he's still he can still play some offense. Max Strus, he's going to be hit or miss in games. When he gets going, he can get you a game. He's one of those guys that can go off and get, hit 5 or 6 threes and help get you a win. But Darius Garland has to be showing up a little bit more. I think this is one of those things where it's turning into the big moment. And you see the young guys sometimes, kind of withering in the spotlight. And it looked like Darius Garland's doing that a little bit. Hopefully he'll get used to it by game 2 or 3 and, maybe step up a little bit more than he did in that first game. But it comes down to the reality of Cleveland doesn't have anybody to stop the guards of Boston. And so Derek White is continuing having his runner right now where he's playing great offense. Plays good defense too. And then Jaylen Brown, what he can do. And I mean, even Drew Holiday got in on it. And he's not even the best offensive player. But if you say basically Jaylen Brown and Derek White are just going to eat all day because Max Strus isn't playing any defense. Donovan Mitchell's not playing any defense. Darius Garland's not really a defensive player. So you have all these guys out on the court, and none of them are really going to play any defense and play any perimeter D and try and stop these guys from hitting threes. So you can just all day. And so if you're going to allow that all day, and if Donovan Mitchell just wants to be the offensive player and doesn't want to put in that defensive effort, and I know, that's kind of what stars do these days, but you can't do that on a team where you have a Darius Garland, who's also not a good defensive player, but too young. And Max Strus can't do it at that level. Max Strus just isn't that guy. Max Strus is supposed to be more of an offensive player. Max Strus is not going to be, the best footwork and the best and the quickest guy who's going to stay in front of, a quicker offensive player. So he can play fundamentally sound, but there's still going to be a weakness there.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And that is fundamentally the problem right now for Cleveland. And I think one of the pieces is if you add Jared Allen back in, you can at least play closer up and kind of feed him to Jared Allen. And
funnel everything
funnel to him. And now, does that mean that you're going to get baskets of them cutting down and making good passes? Sure. But you want to make him make an extra pass than Jaylen Brown dribbling down the court, looking right you dead in the face, and just scoring a 3 or 2 on you without effort. And that's kind of what Boston,
and kicking it out to Derek White, and he just hitting the open.
Exactly. And so, and that's kind of what it looked like was happening a lot in that game. So what you want to see is if Jared Allen can come back, you can at least try and funnel to Jared Allen, try and get him to go baseline, try and get shot, plays where you can get them a little bit more, fed into a system that you have defensively.
A real strategy.
And you have Evan Mobley there too, who can play some pretty good defense. So if you can get them good to going to the paint where you play on perimeter and say, we're going to trust our bigs to help clean it up a little bit on the inside.
Just smother the perimeter a little bit more.
And also bring another rebounder. They were out rebounded heavily, which I know happens when you shoot poorly. You're usually going to get out rebounded if you shoot threes terribly. But just everything. You needed Jared Allen back in this game. He's too important of a piece right now for Cleveland. And when you're in a series where you're heavily outgunned And I know Porzingis isn't playing. You're still heavily outgunned. You really need all your weapons, and they just don't have Jared Allen right now with that rib injury. He is with the team, though. So the hope would be that he could come back in a game 2 and give him something because with him out, I don't see any chance to win a game.
Yeah, they could break out the brooms on him. To your point, though, about the Celtics and how they just seem to be able to do whatever they want offensively. Derek White, man, he made 7 3-pointers in that game.
Yeah.
Didn't realize he had made 7 3-pointers in that matchup. Actually, he's been hot from 3-point range for a while with the Celtics. I had this little number. Yeah, he's made 28 3-pointers over a 6-game span. So right now, Derek White from 3-point range is like as hot as anybody right now in the postseason. But the Celtics, they just look right now. They do look like a dominant team. And man, out of the 2 best looking teams right now in the postseason have clearly been Minnesota and is it Minnesota and Boston?
Yeah, Minnesota and Boston.
Clearly.
And